12. Holly Locke's World. Ma'am was watching TV when I got back, and I was glad not to be on my own. The image of Miss Plum in that bed, surrounded by all that bloody mess, kept flashing back at me. Her horrible voice rang inside my head, and I just knew how much pain Jack had put up with from her over the years. I had a shower and put on crisp, clean pajamas before going downstairs. There was no way I could get to sleep straight away. I had to find something else to focus on. I sat on the small sofa across from Ma'am. She was watching some gardening makeover show. I wanted her to notice I was a bit upset and put her arms around me and make everything feel safe again. "Finished your homework?" she asked. I nodded and continued watching her. I could tell she wasn't really interested in the program. It's me that's always been interested in plants and not these rockery things. Just as they switched to foxgloves, digitalis purpurea, which I am interested in. She turned the TV off with the remote and patted the sofa she was on, encouraging me to sit next to her. I smiled back but stayed where I was. For all I knew, Romeo might turn up at any minute. "No date tonight?" I said. "No, I wanted to be here with you. I know you're feeling a bit left out, and I know it's my fault." Seemed like a good time to talk. "How long have you been seeing him?" "About 6 months." "And you only told me the night of my party, and only then because I didn't want you to go out?" My throat filled with feathers. I was surprised just how choked up I was. "I should have told you earlier, but I was waiting to see how it went. I mean, if it turned out not to be serious, there was no point in worrying you, was there? So you've had other dates without me knowing?" "Of course I have." This was news to me. I suppose I'd assumed she was working late or out with friends. It felt weird thinking of her going out with different men. Something must have shown on my face. It's perfectly natural. "So how many different dates have you had since Dad left?" She bit her lip and screwed up her eyes like she was thinking hard. My neck started to get hot. 3 or 4, not exactly Mae West." "Who?" "Just a joke. You look so serious." "She was a film star who got through a lot of men." "So this one's number 5 then?" "His name's Anthony." "Right." She got up and went into the kitchen. I heard her fill the kettle. Then she put her head round the door and asked if I wanted some toast. I told her I wasn't hungry. The sight of Miss Plum had put me right off food. "By the way," she said then, changing the tone of her voice, "why did you leave so early this morning?" "Music practice." "Samantha said you were late for school." "She tells lies. She's a right sad—" "Holly!" "I was in the music room." I lied. "She said she looked there." Mom's lie-catcher eyes turned on me. "When she's not dumping me for some other girl, she follows me around so I keep out of her way. Sometimes I hide from her, okay?" "But why don't you like her?" "It's not that I don't like her, it's just that sometimes she seems sort of desperate." "Mm-hmm." "What does mean?" I asked. "Well, you need to have friends, Holly." I didn't respond to that. We had the friends chat loads of times. "Anyway, I feel sorry for her," Ma'am went on. "Sorry for her? Why?" "Her eyes are too old. You see, sometimes adults really do hit it on the head. That was exactly right. Samantha's eyes were definitely too old, and I didn't like them burrowing into me. There was a moment there when Ma'am said that. There was a second when I nearly blurted it all out. Jack, the pigs, Miss Plum's blood, the lot. But I didn't, thank goodness. I did say I'd have a mug of cocoa, though, and Ma'am put her arms around me to bring us close. I leaned into her, glad to feel safe again, and she pressed right on the spot where I'd bruised myself, banging into Miss Plum's bedroom door when she shouted at me. I said ouch without thinking, and sure enough, Ma'am made me lift my pajama top up so she could see where I was hurt. "How did this happen?" she asked, staring at the bruise. "Playing football at playtime. I bumped into the goalpost. I was becoming very good at lying." "Has someone looked at it?" "Oh yeah, the school secretary checked it out. It looks really sore to me. You've broken the skin. Tell you what, you get into bed and I'll bring you your warm drink. How's that?" "That'd be great." When she brought the cocoa to my bedroom, she started talking about Anthony again. How much she liked him, how funny he was, how she wanted him and me to get on with each other. No question that it was serious, and she expected me to be as happy about it as she was, but to me he was a stranger who she wanted me to share my life with. After she'd gone, I couldn't get comfortable. I didn't like what was happening to me, and my thoughts kept drifting to Miss Plum. The smell, the mess, how she'd probably been nasty to Jack all his life, and yet he was still really loving to her. The thought of having to clean her up all the time, feed her, carry her up and down the stairs did my head in. I wasn't sure I'd be able to do all that for my Ma'am, yet Jack did it willingly, and didn't seem to blame her for anything. And here was me still hoping that that Ma'am and Anthony would split up, even though she was obviously happy with him. Too restless to sleep, I went downstairs, got the tarot pack, and took it to my bedroom. Laying the pack out, I tried to settle my mind with some deep breathing. This time I didn't ask a question, just let fate take control. The card I selected was the Empress. The image showed a woman sitting on a throne. In her right hand she's holding a ceremonial rod. She has a crown on her head and 2 strings of pearls around her neck. She stares straight ahead. The first finger on her left hand points upward. All around her there are trees and things growing, like corn. I checked the interpretation. This card represents the emergence of the female archetype. It suggests using care and love to solve a problem, rather than force. The Empress wants the best for those under her wing, and is sometimes seen as a great mother figure and sometimes as a teacher or guide. She is loving and compassionate and willing to sacrifice a great deal in order to help others. I looked up archetype in the dictionary, the original pattern from which copies are made, a prototype. So it was definitely something to do with becoming a woman, with growing up. There should be a manual on changing from girlhood to being an adult. How does everyone go from insecure teenager to mature person able to hold down a job, run a house, do food stuff, etc.? But it's not as simple as that, is it? Look at Ma'am, she's like the adolescent, while I'm attempting to be grown up. I end up sleeping through my alarm in the morning, and Ma'am had come and give me a shake. As I rushed into the kitchen, I didn't notice her opening my rucksack to put my packed lunch in until it was too late. She went all silent, and when I looked, she was holding up the Chinese horoscopes book that Jack had let me borrow to read about the year of the pig. She asked me where I got it, and her voice was very clipped. I didn't stop to think, just stupidly blurted out that it was from the school library. Her eyes narrowed as she pointed out there was no library sticker. Then I remembered I'd borrowed it. But that wasn't enough for her. She wanted to know the who, the where, and the when. It was as if all the closeness we'd had the night before had evaporated. "What's your problem, ma'am? It's just a bloody book." The doorbell rang before she could respond, but her face was tight with irritation. I rushed to answer it. So much for making friends again. It was a first for me, being pleased to see Samantha at the door, but Ma'am barely acknowledged her arrival, just continued about the flaming book. I couldn't understand what all the fuss was about. "I'm waiting, Holly. I want to know where you got this." There was no possible way she could know I got it from Jack, but still my stomach began churning up. Samantha did a little cough. "It was me, Miss Locke," she said. "Holly borrowed it off me." Ma'am was not convinced. She challenged both me and Samantha about telling the truth and dropped her bombshell. "Well then, Samantha, maybe you can tell me how it comes to have the name Daniel Plum written on the title page." I went hot and cold in quick succession. Then I thought, hang on a minute. How does she know Jack's dad's name? So I asked her. She snapped at me not to try to change the subject. Fortunately, Samantha came up with a believable, if untrue, explanation. "I found it by the side of the Plum's dustbin, Miss Locke. I often go around on bin day to see if anybody's throwing out anything good," she said quickly. She's as sharp as an acid drop. I couldn't help admiring her quick thinking. Pursing her lips, Ma'am turned her attention to me. She wanted to know why I hadn't told her the truth in the first place. I was lost for words. I wasn't just being caught out. It was the fact that I now owed a favor to Samantha, who immediately took the opportunity to fill the space. "She was supposed to give it back to me, Miss Locke. My dad wanted it, so she probably felt guilty. And then, thankfully, it was time for school, and me and Samantha rushed out of the house. As soon as we got out of earshot, she started on about how I didn't have a clue how to deal with my ma'am, like there was one specific method. 'Listen, you don't argue,' she said. 'That's pointless. You just tell parents what they want to hear. It's so much easier. Smile, tell them what fab parents they are. Say yes to any suggestions they make, say sorry all the time, then do exactly what you want, and tell lies, the bigger the better. They want to believe that they've brought you out to be a fabulous person, because that means they've been great parents. Doesn't matter how many times you have to do it. It always works. Tell them what they want to hear, okay?' She linked arms with me all the way to school, and when we passed Paula Tompkins with some other girls, Samantha completely ignored her. Part of me was glad to have Samantha back, especially with Ma'am in Romance Land, but another part wasn't. She'd be on my case all the time, watching, hanging about. I had Jack to protect, and I didn't need Samantha breathing down my neck. Unfortunately, in between maths and history, she crept up behind me in the corridor and made me jump. It was all I could do to stop myself slapping her. "Anyway," she said, "you still go into Cardswood? You owe me a favor, so you've got to tell what you do in there. Are you meeting a lad? Come on, tell me. Don't leave me out of things, please, not now that we're best friends again." I was grateful for her getting me out of the row with Ma'am, so I promised to talk on the way home from school, but she was very persistent, as usual. She put her arm around my shoulder and pulled me too close. You got that book off Jack Plum, didn't you?" she whispered. Her breath was sour like she hadn't brushed her teeth, and her eyes were glittering with triumph. I pulled free of her and took a deep breath. 13. Memories of Dad the Hog. The boxy room is a stranger. I did not make a visit for many a long time. I get proper startles at beginning a scrapbook seek, for how much of Dad's things linger on here. His smell is up on them, as an old pipe knocked out, sweet with some sourness after. There's clothes, shoes, books, music, and between place, even the old writing book of Dad's time. I am in memory that he puts words into it. It is of a ripe, plummy leather, with a golden color up on the page edges. I stroke on the words he writed long time back with the especial pen of bright bluebell inks, given from his own mammy. I stare to Dad's own slanty, small writing. I find some words I make recognitions of, pig, wood, water, but lots of no knowledge. Dad showed me the time-telling and the numbers to 50, but made only small beginnings of words and readings before his going. Much after that I did get words from Mam and listening at the radio. I sniff at the book and plop it inside my pocket. Warm Dad words aside me. I make plans to ask Holly Locke to read from it when I am strong with my emotions. The scent of Dad makes a slag-glad thing of me. I do not want to be within it much long. Below the creaky bed I find a woody box with jewels, and beyond the grassy patterns of scrapbook is underlying. I do not look within. I know there is photos lurking. I will see all with Holly and the pigs close in to keep me safe from the frights. I shut the door up on Dad's fragrance, so I cannot dwell on things past and beyond. I take warm water within Mam's room and softly wash her into a cleanness. Her eyelids as flappy as mouths, but not opening full, and the skin as cool as has been within a breeze. I try and make talk with her, but nothing does come back, excepting a touch upon my hand with one cold finger. Her mouth will not take food, even mashy porridge with much of treacle. The warmed-up whiskey I give seeps at the corner of her floppy lips. I think Holly is in correctness about the dying, and frighteners rush me, shaking me, toes to hoghead as some windy scarecrow. It is always waiting to get on the inside, and without my pigs to run to. What would become this trembling fear? Would I shiver full loose? Would all space inside my cavern head fill me up of blood things that bring no rest, no peace? If they take me from Holly and the pigs, the end will not arrive soon enough, but the worry is if my buried novel of rage burst out into hurt of others. I know that it could. I see it waiting in corners. Mam must stay in some alertness for the doctor visit next daytime, otherwise he will think on hospitals and sending Hogboy off, maybe to a cage or a dim room. Ever far from earthy scents and pig love, and Holly and palace life and times. I must make proper wishes and offerings on this, for it could sign the full end of all good things here. And as I do think on this, there is a ringing at the doorbell that full startles me, for I have not heard this long times, and do cry out on it, screeching around the house space. Then I crouch in stillness, pressing up on the wall, and it does come on another time. It is not leaving, so I do slither along wall space to the down steps window, which looks over the gate path. As I reach at the curtain side, there comes a rattling up on the door. I think the outside people is coming. My breath gets full tight and ragged. Then I see the postman stroll the path, putting curious glances up at the windows. After he is off away, it takes much time for my heart to stop its blamming. Up on the door below the box for letters, the postman has plopped something. It is carved with red and black words, what look important and put worry on me with their invasion. In the palace I sway and sing and put the frighteners far off. Freya and the tribe do their sweet whisper humming at me. They know it will bring the placids. When I listen full at them, I see soft meadowlands scattered of glossy flowers, and peacock blue water running. The sky in that place comes violet, and carries two suns, one marigold, one silvered. Many pigs dwell there, with human pig kind, what is naked of clothes but full with long fur, and they live without frighteners and without butchers, pigs as free and uneaten. I wonder if this is pig dream or the conjure for me, or pig memory of what is or what is in another place, maybe another time. Holly comes direct from school time, and I am at the mild place with all the pig stuff synced in me. She plays the sweet flute, and then we talk on death things. It is full strange to estimate at the afterness of life when body gets ended. I did see pig bodies beyond the ending, some of my tribe and others. Farmer Cotton does always take these off beyond the farlands and his motor lorry, and in past times I did fetch any dead pigs at his holding place. With the dying I know something is gone, something that was a fire, a sun energy. Dad called this soul. Like the body is flesh trolley what carries fire around, and without the fire is nothingness. I show to Holly the postman card, and she reads with carefulness. There is a letter that's got to be signed for, she tells. What letter? From where? It doesn't say, it just says they'll try again tomorrow. You can go and collect it or have it delivered to your local post office. What is best? She thinks on this some. Well, they need your ma'am's signature, so if I'm here in the morning when the post comes, I can open the door, get the thing to sign, and pretend to take it up to your ma'am who's ill in bed. Then I'll just go up to the landing, sign it, and bring it back. That is good, Holly. You'll have to keep watch of the window before I open the door, and when I come back downstairs, all right? Right, and maybe it could be from Dad. This what has to get signed for, do you think? I don't know, Jack, but I really, really hope so. He would not stop Holly being friend to me and pigs. I'm sure he wouldn't. I tell Holly Ma'am is worse and question if she will look on her again. I say of my doctor worries on the morrow. She makes agreement, though I gather in that she has no eagerness to greet the sneak of Ma'am or hateful words, and I do not blame that. There is a trembling stillness all within the house as we creep up steps to Ma'am's room, and I think I hear small whispers up behind the wall spaces. Holly does stay at the door, and I go in closeness to Ma'am. Miss Plum, Holly calls. Miss Plum. There is no return sound from Ma'am, and Holly moves closer at me. Ma'am's mouth is full open one side, and she is untoothed. Her eyes stare but do not see. I touch Ma'am's hand to make comfort. It is cold as ice puddles in deep wintering time. Holly touches too, and she gives a quick cry and jumps back. She looks at me then with danger eyes, and I do notice her hands get trembly and her breath sucking in. I think she's dead, Jack, she says after some space, and there is a throbbing inside her words. I do not want to hear of death, so I shake at Ma'am's body and shout her to wake up. I want to shake breath within her, some live breath, and I do shake so hard the bed does jump from the floor and makes crash sounds. I feel something as a moth far away within my stomach. It flares quick right within my throat and begins to choke, and I have to howl great long and loud to get it gone. And then Holly is slapping at me and calling my name out as in dream tunnel, and she does make pinches on my hog hands to fetch me to see and hear her. Stop it, Jack, stop it. She does yell out, and she throws water upon my face from Ma'am's nighttime glass, and I do then take notice and stop the shaking of the bed. I see as I had shaked Ma'am right into the end of it and nearly to the floor space. After that, tears come, and Holly presses her quaking hands at Ma'am's wrists and shakes her head. Miss Fisher showed us how to do it in first aid, she tells me, taking the pulse. It's just to be sure, Jack. There is no pulsing. The floor is feathers, and I wobble. I shout of Holly what we will do. It is disaster stuff. The frighteners could get me in full grip now, and they would never flee. The shivering and snorting starts and seems to drag me off away from the room to some full white place of no windows and no doors, and all I hear is rattlings, as a snake what is in one of those pig books. Then in and about the rattle is sob sounds, and I do see outside of whiteness as Holly sat full rigid within Ma'am's wheelchair. Her lips is apart and sucking of the air, and her teeth is knocking sharp as the lids on her eyes do flutter real wild. Deep down within the cellar space comes Freya and the older tribe cells calling at me, calling for soothing to send off the frightener's grip. I listen and take breath and let quiet pig song come into me. Holly is extreme cold and her shivering. I place clean blankets all about her and wheel her away from the death stench. Then I carry her up over shoulder down to the palace for pig loving and sweet tea for comforting. And later, when some calm is within her and me, she does long sighings. Are you okay, Jack? She says in whisper words. I am shaked up, Holly, as did come too sudden up on me. I did think on her dying, but not really know of it, as she did not make goodbye to me. She couldn't, Jack, but there's things you can do, like rituals. You have to tell things to your ma'am, she says. I read all about it, like you making your goodbye, sending her off to another place. Some people think that the spirits of dead people linger on in the world until they've had a chance to say goodbye. We have to make sure she goes. Go on up there, Jack. Say things. Tell her stuff you would have liked her to know. No, cannot go up there alone. The frighteners is waiting on me. Grab me and take me off. I don't think I can walk up, Jack. If you carry me, I'll come with you. I'll sit in the wheelchair just outside the door. Will that help? And this is what we do, and I do slow my head down and look inside it for things I might make up for ma'am, and I find a whole surprising shelf full. Pigs take 3 months, 3 weeks, and 3 days to be born, ma'am, I say. Holly nods, and I know I am doing correct. They make differing sounds, ma'am. As sad, happy, full of joy, hooligan, angry, and they get deep passion as too. Dad told us all before he left. They can die full out of stress. These are some true things about pigs. I did rear them, ma'am, and now you will not ever know of my cleverness in that, and that you will not tell me where Dad is, or say he is hog no more. I stopped to find more words. He was a good son to you, Holly says, and you should have treated him better than you did. Sometimes she could get nice, I say. Okay, sometimes you were nice, but not often. Goodbye, ma'am. I start up again. No more pain or blood coughing. No more of my bad breath on you, turning you to enrage. Maybe there will be whiskey where you are gone. Maybe not. But you did get free of me and my big boar's head now. Amen, Holly says. Amen, I say, and frights rushes in to close my throat off from air. You mustn't panic, Jack, Holly says. I don't know what I'll do if you crack up. Take deep breaths, please. We've got to think. We've got to make a new plan. Of what? And then she does make a reminder of me of the doctor visit next daytime, and all else we must make preparations for. Thinking on it sends me quiet, and breath comes in as painting canines. Holly takes on extreme serious looks and comes out from the wheelchair to pace around as stud bull does. Open the windows, Jack, she says, as I see she does struggle with jumpy throat, what could bring vomits on. And let's go back down to the palace. My brain won't work up here, and I think I can walk now. It is like Holly does have whiskey taken into her. She has come extreme fast at talk, and her eyes do come a bit starey. First, Jack, she says, when we have settled among our tribe, nobody must know she's dead. When I ask on the doctor visit, she breathes sharp in as the pain comes, and she makes pacing down, up, and small mumblings in my throat does fill up with cement, all cloggy at the dread of what might come. But my voice does squeeze through in a grumbly way to ask Holly to stop the outside people splatting all my palace away. Stop that moaning, Jack. I'm trying to keep things together, and you've got to help by keeping quiet. I make big efforting to do what Holly tells. Okay, then apart from the doctor every so often, nobody ever comes here. You collect her pension. If you keep doing that, things can just go on the way they are, and if something crops up, like this letter it's got to be signed for, or like the doctor, we'll find a way of dealing with it. We will, Jack. You have to believe that, but you mustn't get panicky. It'll make things worse. I'm just as scared as you are, but we have to be strong. I slow get to what Holly is thinking. It will be as pretending. We make them pretend that man is live flesh and nobody will come take me off. Yes, it is a good way, and I thank the God of pigs for Holly. Yes, Holly, I say then. We can make the pretend thing. She begins extra pacing up down the room. She has more of the thinking to do. I wait. I think on Ma'am and her stillness, as I might believe she is in the whiskey sleep. Holly stops the walk about and looks at me pointy, and I know something more is to come. Right, the doctor. We have to clean your ma'am's room up, fresh sheets, everything, and then we have to put your ma'am's body somewhere. Oh God, the body. I don't know if I can do this, Jack. I don't know if I can cope. She looks a question at me with eyes that seemed sunk in and lips what is with wobbles, and I scour at solution thoughts. We can do, Holly. I will keep off frighteners for helping, promise. Don't you mind touching her, cleaning everything? Holly says, with some disgust feelings up on her. I do it always when she's live. So there will be no splatting or cursing on me. Now that will be some ease. I have told the hoghead it must come strong. It must follow what Holly says. That is the only way, the pretend way, to stay with pigs. I couldn't do it, Jack. I've never seen a dead body before, apart from our old dog, and it's frightening. 1 minute there's life, next minute nothing. How scary is that? Not your ma'am, Holly. Not your life or your pig's lives. Needing a protection. I can do. Okay, then I'll come first thing in the morning and phone the surgery and give some excuse why the doctor can't come. I'll say your ma'am's had to visit a relative in Durham, that you've taken her on the train in the wheelchair. I could not do. Ma'am would not go outside time with me. It's pretend, Jack, remember? My senses is well disturbed at all this death and new planning, and I must shake the hog school to keep the focusing. Holly does still pace and make the plans, but there is a weakening within, and her voice does have a new unhappy sound. But, she tells on, even if they believe me, they'll want to make another appointment straight off, won't they? She makes tutting and fewing out of her mouth. It is hard to make up good plans when you're scared up. So we ought to say she's away for weeks and weeks to give us more time. Could she pretend to visit your grandparents? All dead and gone to Jesus. Holly says some swearing words, and I dread of more frights coming upon her. She walks and stops and turns and thinks, and all the time I hear a cracked and whisperings for 'em all about, and Ma'am's breathing no more. Then Holly full startles me with a clap of hands. "I've got it, Jack," she tells, and there is some little relieving on her. "You'll phone up the surgery." I think she has lost senses at this, but she squeezes at my arm for reassuring. "It's perfect, Jack. You'll phone using your mam's voice. You don't stutter when you do that, so it'll be fine. I'll be with you listening on the phone, and I'll be able to tell you what to say. It'll work, I know it will. First, we'll tell them she has to visit a sick auntie in somewhere further than Durham. Scotland, that's it. Then we'll ring later and say she's decided to go and live with her. It happens all the time, Jack. I can remember Mem sorting it all out for Gran and Grandad Logan. Even in her raggedness from the stench of death stuff, Holly has made a solving as I never would or could, and I'm grateful and less frightened. We can't just leave her body, though, Jack. I see how the mind of her does never stop its working. Dead things smell bad. Maggots, I say, because I do see it on dead birds and rabbits within Parts Wood. Don't talk about maggots, please. Her words come croaked up, and she does run for the tap to get water, which she slurps as a hungry piglet. Freya follows and gives a soft rubbing at her side, and then Peach and some of the piglets run to press their snouts at her. It was not good, Holly. Time to go home, maybe? Don't you think I could walk that far yet? And I think I'll feel better if we sorted some things out before I go home. Right. So if we bury, I start, but she makes the interrupt. Burying is no good. How far could we take the body? Someone might see us, or the body might be found. It's too risky, Jack. I've seen it loads of times on TV. They always discover the body. I wonder who they can be, but Speedy, I know. It is those who keep the monsters off the streets and locked up in dark places. You must practice imitating your mother's voice straight away, Jack, so that you can do it really well. I promise, though I know I can do it in perfection. My pigs have witnessed to conversationing with her and me in the palace, but only of myself. And I'll practice her signature for the pension book and anything else that crops up, okay? I do nod. Holly pushes her lips together tight as if she holds in the fright of death behind her teeth. We do stare at each other like we is lost. I'm not sure we can carry all this off, Jack. My brain doesn't seem to be listening to me. It just keeps making me go to sleep. What about you? I is extreme tired, but also carry a screeching noise within my ears, and I know that I will not let me sleep. We must be in shock, Jack. It affects people in different ways. Will you be all right if I go home? I nod the okay, and we do rest eyes on our pinched-up faces. I have no grasping on solutions. Holly sighs, and for some small seconds extreme quiet comes upon us, so I hear the tick-tocking clock up steps. Freya does, and the pigs do make silent tribe closeness at us. Nothing stirs except Holly's canine breathing until, in the nearby distances, Samantha makes the calling out on Holly's name far off in the outside, and we do both get startles, as is full reminder of outside people. Holly's upsetness does make a weakening within me, like there's an opening coming into my hog body that I could get swallowed in, but I keep strong in voice and look so as not to fright her more. I'll think about the body, she says. I should do the wash of ma'am, to make a readiness for the wash her, Jack, and put clothes on that she liked, as if she was going to an important journey, right? I've got to get out of here, but I'll be back here in the morning at 8, and we'll do the phone call and sort out that letter. Is that okay? You are sure we'll come, Holly? You will not do the abandoning as Dad did? She makes a big squeeze on my hog hands and does promise on returning, and I do let her sneak outside for certainness of no Samantha sighting. Way back down within the palace, absent of Holly, a gloom thing comes upon me. A burden and gloom for me. Stay close with the pigs. I stay in among the tribe until time for night trotting, when I cry soft as the navy blue sky, and the pigs puddle the water and grass. Ma'am is gone. I am full alone with my pigs. I am afeard of Holly getting fooled into frights and not being able to come to us, and I am full afeard of the blood, stink, puke mess of what was ma'am could drive Holly off to safeness and away from the freak. If she does not come for the doctor thing, I is full doomed. On all these thoughts I make a fright, but I do not go back to that room of death until dawnlight comes. Then I sing favorite songs as I make preparations of ma'am's empty flesh trolley, what will chase her soul to some next place, where we might collide up some future time. After I do toe-tip to the boxy room for aloneness away from death space, I gaze at morning time's arrival upon all. The light of it, the warmth of it, gliding and glistening along tree branches, grass puddles, fetching the life grow what is from sun energies for all our living. Round nearby the river place, the trees is thick in together and full blossomed. The flowers is mouth-wide as if calling tunes to the day coming. There is a silver mist remnant gliding upward for mingling in the corner flower blueness of sky. Maybe this is soul stuff, energy soul stuff, rising at a forever rest place. In the case it is, I whisper of goodbyes and make a small wave, and I do breathe deep in the scent of Dad, which is still strong in that space.